Welcome. This is the inaugural edition of FAX to the Max, a show dedicated all things Halifax Panthers. And I've been writing for the Halifax Courier now for about a year, covering the Panthers. And I thought to myself, you know what? Instead of the 350-word piece or the 500-word piece, why not have a bit of a video? Go into some of these stories into a little bit more depth. And you know what? I thought to myself, Wednesday's the day. Wednesday, I'm gonna sit down. I'm going to plan this out. I'm going to do this 5-10 minute video because, on that day, it was, the one major story was, of course, James Woodburn-Hall re-signing for another couple of years. And I thought, perfect. What a time to start. But a little birdie in the back of my head said, you know what? Just hang on. Hang on. Wait one day. Just wait. And I don't know what that was in the back of my head. But, oh boy, was it right. Because today, Thursday, I'm recording this. It's Thursday night, actually, 11 o'clock. All hell has broken loose. All hell has broken loose when it comes to the Halifax Panthers. We've got bans from the match review panel, a ton of bans from the match review panel. We've got a player who's decided to announce his retirement come the end of the season. We've got all sorts of news. We've still got to look ahead to the Workington match. So much to talk about. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm only down to write 3 pieces a week for the Halifax Courier. That includes one match report. So that leaves us with two other pieces, which means. Which means we're probably going to have to go into overtime, aren't we? There's no question about that. Speaking of the Halifax Courier, though, this program, this show, this YouTube series will be brought to you by the Halifax Courier. It comes out every Thursday. We'll try and cover as much as we can. As I say, I'm just down to do 3 pieces a week, but we're going to try to do as many as we can. But if you can, Halifax Courier every Thursday, pick it up from the shop. People are addicted to their phones at this moment in time in our society. Get off your phone, get a paper. It doesn't cost that much. A quid 20 or a quid 30. Get a paper. Just chillax. Read, do a Sudoku. Go through the Panthers news. Go through the town news. Just chillax. Everything will be all right. Just get off your phone. It's not good for you. All right. Right. Let's get into some news, and let's begin with Titus Gwaze, because we do know it's an 8-match ban. We also now know that he's got 7 games left because that York game, which has just passed, it counted. Which means from now on, Titus Gwaze will miss the game at home against Workington, the trip to London, the Summer Bash game with the Bradford Bulls. He'll miss the Batley game, the Sheffield game, the Newcastle game, the Bradford game at home, and then he'll come back into the fold for the Widnes game and for the Featherstone game. Those are the 2 last remaining regular season matches of the campaign. It's not good for the club. It's not good for him personally as well, because if he's looking to put himself in the shop window for perhaps another contract extension or anything like that, it's hard. He's going to have 2 regular season games remaining, and that is if he makes the fall into the first team, because a lot can happen from now until then. So it is a serious blow to not just Halifax's season, but Titus's season in particular. We also found out on Thursday that 5 bans have been handed to Halifax Panthers after the York game. Now, would you believe it? If you watch that match, do you honestly, hand on heart, believe that the RFL or the match review panel would come out with 5 bans? Come on. First of all, we have Matty G. Matty G was noted 3 times. I've just gone through the RFL minutes. His name has featured 3 times on there. First one from an incident about 20 minutes into the game. It's a grade B incident, 1-match ban. No penalty was given for that incident, by the way. There's an incident 30 seconds later. Ben Kavanagh, another late challenge, another 1-match ban, a grade B challenge. No penalty given for that either. Then Kevin Laroya, about 10 minutes later, a 2-game ban for a grade C charge. It's, at the first viewing, let's be honest, at the first viewing, and if you look at the replay, you see it for the first time, Paulie is in the tackle, Kevin Laroya comes in, and he tips him over, and the penalty is given. It looks bad at the first viewing, but just take a moment to watch it again. Slow it down a little bit, and just remember who it is that is being tackled. This is not an ordinary player we're talking about. We're talking about Paulie. A man mountain, an enormous human being, and let's face it, he doesn't move anywhere until he wants to move to a certain position. Nobody forces Paulie to move anywhere. Nobody. This is a giant of a man. And if you slow down the incident, look worse than it actually was. He moves himself, it appears he moves himself into that position. You can even hear somebody from the crowd shouting, he's done a roly-poly. So it's a hard one. It does look bad at first viewing. That is true. But if you look at it closely, it's questionable. It was a grade C charge at the end of the day, a 2-match ban. The next time that Matty G features on that match review document is about 52 minutes into the video, not the match. If you rewatch the match on the Halifax Panthers YouTube channel, skip to 52 minutes, you'll see this incident. Grade D charge, 3 to 5 games. It's been referred to the tribunal. Again, a questionable one. A penalty was given for this one. It was on Brandon O'Hagan. Interestingly, just a few minutes later, Matty G features again in the document, by the way. It's him and Brandon O'Hagan, obviously. A bit of a melee, a bit of pushing and shoving, but that was it. No further action taken. Surprisingly, considering how harsh the match review panel have been here. No further action for that one. Then the last one is Ed Barber, 1-match ban for a grade B charge. If you skip on the video to 1 hour and 20 minutes and 25 seconds, you can see it again. No penalty given again. So 3 incidents there. 4 if you include the Matty G melee with Brandon O'Hagan. 4 incidents out of the 6 noted. 4 of them, no penalty. By the way, no cards either. No cards. 4 penalties. That was it. You have to ask questions if there's no cards, and most of them are not even penalties. What are we doing handing out match bans like it's free candy? Let's get into when the players will return, because in a further blow, Ben Kavanagh came off in that game against York. He failed his head injury assessment test, meaning the game against Workington won't count towards his 1-match ban. It'll be the London game that counts, which means he'll come back for the match against Bradford. Kevin Laroya is set to come back for the match against Bradford as well because of his 2-match ban. Ed Barber should return. He's got a 1-match ban, so he should return for the London match. Greg Worthington, who was obviously punished for the punch at Barrow, should return for the Bradford match at the Summer Bash as well. Matty G, we still have to find out. We have to wait for, the incident has been referred to the tribunal, so we have to wait. 3 to 5 match ban though. You have to include the one added on. So there's more than one offence there, and they are counted consecutively, which means 1 for the first incident and then 3 to 5 for the second incident. So we could be looking at 6 potentially, 5. 6 is worst case scenario, isn't it? 5 for the grade D incident, and then add 1 added on for the grade B incident. But potentially 4, potentially 5, and then we'll see. But you'd expect him perhaps to return for the Friday night game against Sheffield. Worst of all, Newcastle, or even Bradford at home. But we will see what the reaction. I don't want to speculate too much and talk about what might not be. Let's wait and see what the facts are. The other big news, of course, coming out was James Woodburn-Hall is staying with the Panthers for another 2 years. Massive news for the Panthers, because let's be honest, he has been the man. He has been the man. There's a few characters that stand out for me at Halifax this season. Joe Keys, Brandon Moore, James Woodburn-Hall, I would say the 3 sort of the top men for me this season so far. James Woodburn-Hall missed the first few games of the season. If you remember, he had an injury. Since he has come back, really, he's been on top form. He's been excellent. He's been absolutely excellent, superb addition to the team, and to know that he's going to be there for another couple of years is superb. Here's what he said on the club website. I'm absolutely buzzing to sign a new deal with the club. I've been here a while now, and I make no secret about it. I love playing here. I'm starting to see some of my better rugby as well in the last couple of years, playing in that fullback position. So I'm very, very happy and content, and just happy to be playing constantly. Now, don't forget that James Woodburn-Hall, when he came into the team, he couldn't find really his place in the team, could he? Played in different positions. If I remember correctly, I think he even played at loose forward at one point. Nevertheless, step by step, he worked himself into that fullback position. The returning Scott Griggs even had to change positions, didn't he? Because James Woodburn-Hall was was moved into fullback, and he has since been superb. Here's what Simon Griggs said upon his re-signing. He said, "We're really happy that Woody is staying with us. It was a very quick and easy discussion. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, and I think he's found his home at fullback after years of a utility role. He's got a lot of athleticism and craft there to make it look as easy as he does at times, both offensively and defensively. He's learned a lot during his time here, and having Scott as a mentor has been really good for Woody. He's been seeing the fruit of his patience now, I suppose. He deserves a new contract, and it also gives us stability to know what our spine will look like moving forward. He's been brilliant this year. He's playing really confident. He's been freakish and unplayable at times, so I'm really happy he's on board with our team. This will take him to 9 seasons at Halifax with a 2-year deal, which is great for him and great for our club to have another long-term servant." And yes, I mean, he's 27 years old at the moment. This moment, he'll be 29 when his deal comes up at 2024. It's good to know that he's stayed because he has been absolutely excellent. And don't forget, we could very well see him at the World Cup as well, playing for the Reggae Warriors. I believe it's Lebanon, Ireland, and New Zealand in Jamaica's group. So he'll come up against some top players. And I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited for Panthers fans and for James Woodburn-Hall as well. An excellent addition to the Panthers team. Another bit of news, obviously, for the Panthers is Ed Barber announcing his retirement at the end of the season. And speaking of servants, we spoke about James Woodburn-Hall. What about Ed Barber? What a servant for the club. A sensational player. The 32-year-old is, joined the club as a trialist back in 2015. Over 130 appearances for the club now during his 8-year spell. 13 appearances for the Panthers this season, including 4 tries. A superb representative. I'm hoping to get Ed Barber to do, maybe a 15-20 minute piece here on this channel. Try to get him maybe on Zoom or something like that. Speak to him about his time at the club because he's a very, very special player. I know there was some controversy not that long ago during lockdown or after lockdown. It was with his post on social media or whatnot. But if you just focus on his rugby, he's been a fantastic servant for the club. Here's what he said: I've absolutely loved my time at Halifax and have had the best 8 years of my career here. I've never expected to play nearly 150 games for my hometown club, creating some great memories that I will never forget. I've just reached a point in my life where I would like to take a little step back and spend more time with my family. I would like to thank the club and everyone involved for giving me the opportunity to represent Halifax, and I would like to personally thank the amazing Fax fans for their support. It would be fantastic to end my time at the Panthers on a high note and go out with a bang. Simon Griggs added a comment of his own, saying it's been Ed's last year for the last couple of years, but we have managed to sway him. This time he is content with getting his rugby fix at a lower level so he can concentrate on both his business and young family. I had hoped to twist his arm again, but his mind is made. Ed has been a great servant, playing various positions within the team and adding value every time he wears the blue and white. A very talented player who seems to be able to create something out of things at times. Off the pitch, he's a real team man and part of the fabric of this group. Selfless on many an occasion, and he will certainly be missed. All that said, he will have a way to go before he departs us. As with all the departing players, I would be great to give him a great send-off at the right time and thank him for his efforts. He really says something when Simon Griggs is out there saying he's tried to twist his arm. He tried to convince him. He tried to keep him at the club for just one more year. Just shows how great of a player Barber has been. And if you want more evidence of how good he's been, this month's Rugby League World Magazine Championship Player Team of the Month, Ed Barber and Dan Murray are in there. Dan Murray as well, been superb last few weeks, hasn't he, for the team? So no surprise to see them both in there. Now, before we get into the last topic, before we look ahead to the match against Workington, just a couple of notes. The club have put out a few interesting offers. Season ticket holders can bring a friend for £10, for a tenner, for £10. You can bring a friend along. There's another deal, a 5-match season ticket for the games against Workington, Batley, Newcastle, Bradford and Featherstone. So essentially those are the 5 remaining home games of the regular season. 5 games for £70 for adults. Well, they start at £70 for adults. start 50 quid for concessions and start £35 for young adults. 35 quid is that? If I was a young adult, I'd be jumping all over that. 35 quid for 5 terrific games of rugby league towards the back end of what could be a historic season for the Panthers, because you never know what could happen. Still a long way to go. As Simon Griggs said in one of his interviews with Premier Sports, the big games are yet to come. And I'm sure, especially the last one, Bradford and Fev, the last two of the home games of the regular season, mouth-watering to say the least. But those are the two offers from the club. And you know what? The atmosphere at home against York, tremendous. The South Stand was singing all game long. And that was just at, let's face it, quarter of the capacity of the South Stand. Imagine if we can fill it to the brim. It would be extraordinary. And let's do it. You know what? Halifax have got probably the best team in a decade, the most exciting team in a decade, if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to jump in the comments and hammer me for saying that. But this team is playing extraordinary rugby. They're competing with the likes, of York or Featherstone, who are spending unimaginable numbers of money, unimaginable figures of cash, and Halifax are able to be in third place at this moment in time and challenging for, a special season. So if you can, come down, invite a friend, do whatever you can, because this is a special campaign, and it would just be incredible to have a full ground there at the Shay. You know what? Let's end FAX to the Max by looking ahead to the match against Workington. Now, we know so many players will be missing now. Matty G, Ben Kavanagh, Kevin Leroyer, Ed Barber, Titus Gwaze, Greg Worthington. It wouldn't surprise me. Matt Garside will be back. Simon Griggs has already announced that. A couple of dual reg players will probably have to come in as well. A chance for some of the players not in the fold to come back and make a name for themselves, really, against this Workington side. By the way, do not underestimate Workington. I know that you look at the table, and any punter in the street, you show them the table, and they'll go, well, Halifax have won 12 from their 13 games, playing a team who are bottom of the table. This is going to be a walkover, a cricket score. Chris Thorman's side, they've done it hard, haven't they? They beat London Broncos. That was the only win this season. They did that, I believe, at the start of June, if I'm correct in thinking. They beat them 32-18. Since then, it's true, Workington have been nilled in 4 of their last 5 games. They've been nilled against Batley, Barrow, Widnes and Lee, which was their most recent game. Now, that doesn't sound good. However, take a look at last season. Halifax were playing Oldham. Oldham were bottom of the table, and Oldham somehow managed to come away with a victory. So don't underestimate Workington just yet. We've seen stranger things happen. Workington will look at this disruption. Let's face it, is a disruption to the Halifax Panthers team, no matter how much form they're in. This is disruption. This is a momentum killer a little bit, isn't it? And they'll look at this and they'll go, you know what? There's not a big chance because Halifax will be major favourites, but there's a chance. And I spoke to Cal Forber for the Rugby League magazine earlier this week, and he was telling me, yes, it's not great. We're bottom of the table, 1 win, but the atmosphere is not that bad. The fans have stayed with us. They're travelling everywhere we go. They're bringing 2 buses everywhere we go. They're still singing this. And, with a good atmosphere, with a good camaraderie, and don't forget, 30-degree heat, possibly on Sunday, it could be an interesting one. Halifax, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Halifax are still major favourites, and I'd still back them to win that game by 20-odd points. But it won't be as simple as many say. If it is, feel free to clip this and shove it into my face next time you see me at the Shay. Interesting fact, though, pulled up by the Halifax Panthers media team during one of the interviews with Simon Griggs. Last home win for Workington against Halifax in Halifax, January 1983. Wow. We'll see whether Halifax can keep up that run, that historic run on Sunday. But until then, thank you very much for tuning into this first episode of FAX to the Max. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it will get better with time. Please excuse me if it's a bit all over the shop. It will get better. I'm planning, I'm going to get a flag here. Just to fill the gap here on the wall. Got a nice Halifax flag here for when we're doing these. As I say, I hope to do a couple of times a week. at the very least one time a week, just talk about some of the news from the Panthers. Hopefully don't bore you too much. Hopefully bring you a bit of facts. But as I say, this is all in partnership with the Halifax Courier. I'm down to do 3 pieces a week for the Courier, which is not enough because the news coming out, especially this week, it's ridiculous. It's story after story after story. So this will be a nice opportunity to sort of catch up a little bit and go through some of the stories. But I'm telling you, Halifax Courier, if you can, get your hands on it. You know, £1.80. That's all it takes. £1.80. It gets to get off your phone for one, and you know, if you don't fancy the sports news or the news, just do a Sudoku or whatever. But no, certainly don't listen to that. Make sure the first bit of reading you do is from the sports section, because Panthers are doing some incredible things this season, and if you're ever going to pick a time to follow Halifax, it is now, because things are getting very, very interesting.